Yes, well, I'm Tom Nellist. My family have been involved with hops.
Sorry, Tom. Sorry. I should have explained. Can you address Marsha when... Is
Yeah.
that all right? Yeah. That'd be great. Okay. Okay, Marsha, do you want to ask a question?
Yeah, when you're ready, Tom.
My connection with hops goes back to my grandparents and parents who were involved with hops all their life, starting in Worcestershire and then moving on to Herefordshire.
Tell me about this job your father had, and can you give me dates and where it was as well?
Well, my father, as I said, started off in Knightwick in Worcestershire. He then moved to Hereford in 1949 and managed the second largest hop farm in the county, which was at Leighton Court. He was there until 1967 when he retired.
And tell me about the hop pickers that came from the Black Country.
A very interesting lot, very genuine.
Can I just stop you there, Tom? Can you just say the pickers from the Black Country, because I'm going to be cut out completely.
Oh, I see.
Thank you, when you're ready.
The pickers from the Black Country, a very interesting lot, very loyal. A lot of them worked in the glass crystal works. As a result, my grandmother rather, would have a present each year brought by one of the ladies of glass crystal. And over the years, of course, she built up a large collection, of which I've got one or two now. They were accommodated in some of the farm buildings. Some of them had specific hop pickers barracks built for them. They would each have their own compartment. They would be separated by Hessian, so privacy was not very important. They would be whitewashed out each year. They would each be provided with a brazier to cook with. They cooked with coke.
Did you get to know any of the pickers? Any particular characters stand
I
out?
was very young at that age, no.
And what did your grandmother do during the...
It's all right.
What did your grandmother do during the picking season?
Well, grandmother, like many other hop farmers' wives, would run a grocery shop from her house. She would serve them out through the window. Groceries, sugar, bread, flour, and of course ration books were involved and ration coupons. The goods were bought from a wholesaler in Worcester. They would be delivered to the farm, and that would last for about a month. Pocket money for grandmother at the same time.
What sort of entertainment was laid on for the pickers?
Very informal, but on a Saturday night you would get could be the Salvation Army would come round. You'd get a mobile cinema would come round with the latest news, possibly a film, black and white film. You would get fish and chip vans come. A butcher would call, baker would call. Oh yes, quite civilised.
It's lovely.
Isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
What about, did the pickers always behave?
No. Saturday night was usually a good fight, either between could be between the Welsh people, the local people, the travelling people, and alcohol didn't help either. I think Bishop's Room would be the epicentre of the Herefordshire hop industry. There would be hundreds and hundreds of hop pickers and gypsies on a Saturday night. Quite entertaining. The local policeman was kept very busy.
Did they behave at the crib? Did they ever, argue with the butcher or did they go on strike?
They would argue with the butcher because it was his job to ensure that an equal amount of hops went into the bushel each time, and he would have a habit of getting his elbow in and pushing them down a little. But you could guarantee most years there would be a strike. The pickers would go on strike for more money. And I think the local hop farmers would get together and they would agree a price for the season. But obviously the pickers disagreed, and as a result, a strike. Yes, the busheler would come along. He would give notice that he was coming along because they would have to clean the leaves out and produce a decent sample in the crib. He would then come along with his bushel, he would fill it, he would tamp it down a little. If he was a little naughty, he might put his elbow in and push it further, in which the old ladies would remind him it was not done. Those hops were then put into a large sack. Each bushel the pickers were credited with, either with a tally or in a book. At the end of the week, they were paid on what they'd bought and what they'd picked. Yes, in the late 1940s, the first machines appeared. I would think about 1947, 48 perhaps, which was a huge revolution. I mean, the pickers weren't wanted to the same degree, physically picking. They were wanted in the hop yards to pull the binds down, and they were wanted to work on the machines. But it was, as I say, it was a huge revolution. And very soon the larger hop farms would have two machines, built by a company at Suckley called the Bruff Manufacturing. There was also another one called the Heinz machine that was built at Malvern.
Can you tell us about this big picture you got over there? The further one that was given to you by a hop merchant.
Yes.
Can you just tell us how you came about that and who he was and what it is?
Yes, the large map was given me by Maurice Hanbury Jackson. It illustrates all the hop farming counties of England and also the individual parishes where hops were grown. No, it's quite interesting now.
But who was he though? Who was Maurice Hanbury?
He was a hop merchant.
So could you, I don't know what a hop merchant is, so could you tell us who he was and what he did?
Well, the hop merchant would sell the hops to the individual brewers. That was his job. And in between there was the factor, hop factor, who had connections with the hop grower. Yes, on that map, in 1885 shows the biggest acreage of English hops, which was 71,000 acres. And by 1979 it had fallen to 14,000 acres, and now it's even less. Although there is a slight resurrection in the popularity of hop growing, bigger demand with boutique breweries.
Are you involved in hops now?
No, my only involvement in hops was I was an agricultural merchant, and I would supply the fertilizers and the chemicals for them. But now I'm retired, that's a thing of the past.
So when were you doing that? From what sort of time were you doing that?
I left school in 1959, and I semi-retired about 10 years ago.
So what were you supplying and to whom? To the hop industry? What sort of things?
I was supplying to the growers in Herefordshire, the chemicals to control insecticides and the fertilizers to grow them. Yeah, to go back to my grandfather and father and uncles, they would powder the hops with a powder, a sulphur powder, and the weather had to be very, very still to do it. And they would look out, it had to be done at night or in the evening when it was better weather, and they would look out through the back door and they say, yes, it's a hop powdering evening, it's still, and they would go.